BIS 301. Welcome to Module 3. Finally found a good spot to do some video this week. Um, yeah, I'm back in Sedona. Let me get over here to the desk. Today's desk. Okay. All right, let's talk. Module 3. Actually, let's review some of Module 2, huh? Okay. My notes are right here. Okay, you guys are up here. All right. So, by the way, I always like to start with some housekeeping items, I guess. Um, Number one is I did realize that all modules do, in fact, end on Sunday nights at midnight. So, the varying due dates, yeah, they're in there in the week, but it looks like everything ends on Sundays except for, was it Module 7, which goes on forever, like from September 30th to October 11th. That's a good week to catch up on stuff too. So that's why, like I said, it's a little off balance. I don't want to be too crazy about them, but the modules do end on Sunday nights. Okay. All right. Um, Worksheets. I've been seeing some people take the worksheets. There's like 8 to 10, 12 prompts, questions, what have you, and you're writing an essay with those in them. And I don't prefer that because then I've got to parse it out and look for, did you respond to this? Did you respond to that? I'd rather have you do the Q&A, copy them, paste them, whatever, and type out your responses to each one. That way I know you're addressing each prompt appropriately, okay? Again, I'm going to remind you again, um, disciplines are capitalized, right? So when you use it as a proper noun, concentrations, you're talking about it as a discipline, it is a proper noun and should be capitalized, okay? So there's, big business, little business. There is, big economics, little economics, okay? Psychology's got such and such, okay? Remember that, all right? Okay, if you're going to do citations in the worksheets, you don't have to. I'm not looking for them. But if you do them, again, do them correctly. You don't need to cite the text, every time you write. You really don't. The text is, it's inherently part of your um, work now, okay? You don't want to, obviously don't want to plagiarize it, okay? So you do want to quote directly. But again, worksheets are about putting things in your own words, okay? Let's see, what else do we got? Let's see. Yeah, so even though we haven't done papers yet, well, we did the plan of study. I haven't looked at those yet. We're going to be doing an intellectual autobiography this week, and then we're getting to maps 1, 2, and 3. Um, I want you to start thinking about, just do your formatting good. I'm not going to over analyze or anything, but remember, I'd like you to use Times New Roman 12-point font, double line spacing, paragraph indents, okay? So try to, get in the habit of that with your worksheets if you can. Remember, your Word doc typically defaults to Calibri 12. So you might want to keep an eye on that and change that if necessary. Okay, so worksheet, was that worksheet 1? That was worksheet 1. Let's see. Hold on. I can't see anything. Go ahead. All right. Oh, yeah. So for my critiques, and a lot of you I screwed up, I was commenting on question 2, but most cases it was question 4. But let's talk about some of those questions. Number 1, about the classes you've taken that are interdisciplinary in nature, okay? Um, this is where I'd like you to demonstrate some intellectual rigor, some deeper thinking, okay? Don't just say this is my first IDS, BS class and that's it. No, you have to think. Trying to get you to think in an interdisciplinary way, right? Remember, I've kind of scolded the ideology of, oh, jack of all trades. I look at everything from every angle. That's not interdisciplinary, but you want to use that. Then again, you don't want to think about your courses in those same terms where, uh, history itself, studying history could be interdisciplinary. If you look at particular sections, history and economics and psychology and medicine and things like that. A lot of courses that you take, whether they're in high school, college, and you've been in university now for at least a couple of years, right? So you have had some, all right? So just can't just bail on a question and say, I didn't have any, okay? All right, here's the big one, the one I was looking at. Describe or define interdisciplinary studies in your own words, right? Was it a trick question? I don't know, maybe. What do you think? I mean, the first two videos, I had IDS equals integration, IDS equals no disciplinary boundaries, and I repeated myself in number two, saying IDS equals integration. If you did not say integration, then I'm like, well, come on, don't go sliding back to the same old thing that you started with before you got into this course and program. You didn't know it, that's fine. But if you did the readings, if you listened to my video, if you sent me the Easter eggs, and then you turn around and couldn't answer IDS integration, then that's not right. I even told you in the first interview, when the professor gives you answers, you should take them. Okay? All right. So when I say your own words, yeah, does that mean, oh, God, he doesn't want me to use his words of integration? No, use those words. Those are now your words. Okay? IDS equals integration is the simplest smoke. Somebody could have just wrote that, and I'd have been, yeah. In fact, if you did write integration, I mean, see the goosebumps? You should have seen. You should have seen me. Oh my God, I was so happy you wrote integration. I was so excited. You probably saw me right. Excellent. Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Okay. All right, so that was really important. Remember that. Again, I'm hammering this in this course like I never hammered any course, because by the end of the course, when I ask you the same question again and you get about your degree, and you give me some slop about multiple disciplines, looking at things from different angles and things like that, and you don't use the word that I pounded into this course every week, and that's integration, then we just had a huge disconnect. Okay, so stay with me on that. Okay, all right. So yeah, you're using words like multitask, combine, combination, intertwined, and anytime you get into multiple anything, you're talking about multidisciplinary. Obviously, that's a key. Okay, I mean, um, if you want to, if you want to talk to me further about this, you can set up a call. But I want you to get into this interdisciplinary thinking in academia and integration, okay, and how that applies to complex problems or intricate solutions, whatever. Okay, going back to that pyramid, remember, on the bottom was singular disciplinary. It's just intradisciplinary is a singular discipline. Going up high, next level is cross-disciplinary, looking through one discipline with another at something, the mathematics of music, mathematics of science, the music of art. There's plenty of things that you can use in cross-disciplinary. It's a tough one, but it's out there. Then there's multidisciplinary. That's looking at everything from all the different angles. But guess what? Nobody's talking to each other. None of these things care about each other. Then there's interdisciplinary. Same thing, but right? Putting together a solution that incorporates theory, concepts, solutions from all the appropriate pertinent disciplines. Okay, and then there's transdisciplinary above that at top, beyond the disciplines. Looking at, you know, um, say, a big redoing of a main street. Okay, they're going to have to look at the city planning aspect of it. They're going to have to look at the business side of it. They're going to have to look at environmental concerns. But what's transdisciplinary goes beyond the disciplines. They're going to call in business owners. They're going to call in, organizations that are on that street, that local people that live there. Okay, those it goes beyond the discipline. So remember that, because I know the discussion board I'm ready to score. I was really adamant in how to explain that in terms of, just because it's a politician doesn't mean they're poli-sci expert. Just because it's a priest doesn't mean he's religious studies expert. Just because he's a police officer doesn't mean he's a criminal justice expert. Okay, so you have to go from the problem to the discipline, then to a particular occupation. The closest you can get to go that cleanly would be like psychologist. Okay, all right. So let's see, the plan of study that I'm going to be reviewing. Remember I said evidence of DARS, okay? It did, and I specifically said I don't want you including the DARs in your paper. You don't have to do that. I don't need to see it. And that certainly means I don't need you to send it to me. People are sending it to me. There is no email assignment in this course except the Easter eggs. Okay, that's it. Everything else I don't want to see. It's got to go through Turnitin software. It's got to be posted where I can score it. It's got to be posted in a format that I can grade, right? Like Word, all right? Not like Word, but only Word. So, what is evidence of DARs? Okay, hey, you got to figure some of the things out. It's a two-way street here, all right? Evidence of DARs. Did you ever see that Seinfeld where uh, the boss tells George to go downtown and get this report done or something? He's like, I have no clue what the dude's talking about, And they were trying to figure out what could he have meant, and yeah, instead of asking him, they tried to figure it out and failed miserably. But it's not always clear cut. Uh, so what's the evidence of DARS? I think I even said DARS. I looked at my DARS and it said this and this and this. Okay. I want you to think of these things. I want you to push yourself. Okay. If I lay it all out there for you and then you're just going to sign it and say, hey, there it is. No, you gotta bring something to the table here. Okay. Show me what you got. Step up your game. Right. All right. Oh man, the dude says he wants evidence of the DARS, but we can't send him the DARS. Right. So just think to the next layer. What would be considered evidence? How could I, get this done? Oh my God, this thing is steaming. Not steaming hot, but so hot on the outside. The sun's getting warm. Okay, so let's talk about uh, Easter egg number one. Did I really write this? Um, all right. Easter egg number one combines these things that I'm really just hammering on, right? Easter egg number one is IDS equals integration without boundaries. That kind of combines those. Integration without boundaries, okay? All right. I want you to start thinking about Repko, Newell, and Klein. Repko is, of course, Alan Repko that wrote the book. Uh, Newell is Bill Newell. He just passed away this year. Really a big force in interdisciplinary studies. You're going to read some of his work this week. And then Julianne Klein, who's written so many good books and analyzed this topic thoroughly. They each have their own process of interdisciplinary analysis. I do have it in the module section. I'm not connected to the internet. Wow, shocked. I'm sitting out here in the middle of nowhere. But my notes are. So let's see. My notes say I've got the same exact thing in my notes that I have on in the course. And Repko, Newell, and Klein, they are here. It could be one of these things that, what'd you do? Did you delete it by accident? Let's see. Recently deleted. Oh my gosh. It is also a little hard to see out here in the sun. Boy, am I just whining now, right? Okay, so here we go. Looking at it. Looking for it. Oh my God, Repko, Newell, and Klein. There it is. Jeez Louise. Okay, so Repko, Newell, and Klein. Repko has something called the broad model. That's how to analyze things. You can check it out there, okay? So if you want to get a real idea about the interdisciplinary process, about what it means to do interdisciplinary studies, okay? So, they have 7 steps, okay, 6 steps. Define the problem or state the research question, justify using interdisciplinary approach, identify relevant disciplines, conduct a literature search, blah, blah, blah. The broad model is useful in natural science, useful to integrate applied fields, social science methods. You'll see this. Newell's 7 steps to integration is the next one. It's become struck by a confrontation with a complex problem. Okay, and then it goes into the steps about how to do that. Newell's integrative process also has a longer, more thorough look, but the basic integrative process is in 7 steps. Klein is similar. She's got it called the integrative core. She's a simplified version, and then she's got a restated uh, integrative core of 12 steps, and then she's got the integrative core detailed, which is much longer. But this shows you that there is a way to do interdisciplinary studies, okay? The process of interdisciplinarity, okay? It's not just looking at things from multiple angles, which is multidisciplinary, right? You get that multi in there, it's multidisciplinary, okay? It's the integration that makes a difference, right? You've heard that, haven't you? Okay, so let's look at you ready for the real modules to begin? You had it easy. So, and as far as due dates go, yes, I'm very lenient getting things in. If you tell me that you're aware of it, then I know that you know and you can get it in. But be careful, okay? Just because it's easy to go down that path, I'm giving you, I hate to say your own rope, but I don't like that analogy, okay? All right. So the learning modules for module 3 are by the end of this module, students will be able to draw connections between multiple disciplines, including students' own specific areas of study, demonstrate how the concepts of disciplinarity and interdisciplinary function inside and outside the university. By the way, these videos have been longer than I've ever done before. I want them to be more thorough. I'm finding out more about what people could use from me maybe and clarity and I know I'm restating some of it, but if you want the 5 points, it's no big deal, right? Okay, so I want to go with the readings. The readings are so important again, okay? Now you've got Repco Chapter 4 and Appendix A. The reason for that is Chapter 4 is about how to write a intellectual autobiography, and I'm sorry, the Appendix A is, and Chapter 4, uh, this cognitive toolkit, okay? And if you're reading these readings, by the way, you should be really, really kind of like blown away because you're starting to get a clear understanding of what interdisciplinary studies is. You're starting to be able to form concepts in your mind on what it means to be interdisciplinary. It should be. If you're not reading them, you're just missing out, and you're just expecting to cruise through the course, which won't happen. Sorry. All right, so you got to do the readings. You got. I'm even doing the readings. Come on, I've taught this class like a lot of times, and I've taken it too. All right. So again, this chapter focuses on the characteristics of IDS students, discusses the importance of writing an intellectual autobiography. All right, now, by the way, we're going to be changing this class around. We're going to use all the same things, just move them around a little bit. But the intellectual autobiography is really important. Again, and I'll talk more about this at the end. I'm going to keep going. Okay, so then you got to read Benson's 5 arguments against IDS. Thomas Benson is another big player in IDS, and he wrote these as a devil's advocate kind of thing. And I think if you read this, I know you're gonna think of all the things that you think of or others that talk to you think of when it comes to interdisciplinary studies and why. I mean, it sucks. Why does it suck so bad? This is all the way it sucks, right? What are we gonna do about it? Okay, but then you get another reading, and it's like a mimeographed Xerox copy, but it's good. It's a response from Bill Newell, and he goes and he takes each one of those 5 arguments and he disputes those. And what this does is it gives you the language, the words, the concept, the ideas of interdisciplinary studies and how you can formulate them in your own mind as well as explain them to others, like your employer and your instructor when they ask you about these things, okay? That you don't always slide back to what you thought 2 months ago. Well, it's just I'm a jack of all trades. I do everything, so I'm going to look at it from multiple sides. No, you're learning now. Learning started August, what was it, 22nd, when I said IDS equals integration. That's where it started. That's your words now. Those are your words, right? Okay, and if they're not, then you're missing a big, big, huge chunk of this, okay? All right, so then we're going to get into the plagiarism unit. Very important. By the way, these modules are packed right now, okay? I'm sorry, it's a 7.5-week course. It's not it's 15 weeks of work in 7.5 weeks. I'm going to remind you about that again. So if the evaluations go, oh, you had so much work, so much, well, yeah, it's a 15-week course in 7.5 weeks. A 15-week course, you expect to put in 120 hours. That means you expect to put 120 hours in this in 7.5 weeks. That's a lot of hours, right? You're probably get one of them right here on the video. Okay, so the plagiarism unit helps you to understand what plagiarism is, what it's not, how to avoid plagiarizing, okay? There's a quiz, too, coming up, too. But the plagiarism unit is really important. There's a... I switched the dates between the plagiarism quiz and the due dates. I put the quiz, and the discussion. I switched them because if you're gonna do the plagiarism unit, I want you to do the quiz first before you have to think about other stuff. Get it done. It's just multiple choice. You can do it. Okay, it's very simple. What is it? 20 questions, not even, it could be 10, I'm not sure. But it's easy. All right, just read the material and you'll get it. All right. So um, that's important. Easter egg number 2, okay, is important also, right? IDS is a process. Okay, it's a process. It's not so much a noun as it is a verb. It's not so much an adjective, it's a verb. Interdisciplinary studies is a process. Okay, mostly. I hate using absolutes. We'll get into that at some point, but absolutes are always, never, that stuff. Okay. Then you're going to get into reading about the IDS. You're going to get into the debate discussion. IDS debate discussion we're going to have. You're going to read a couple of articles that were taken from AZ Central about our program. Now, these are getting old because back when it was talked about, it was a 3-year program for some strange reason. It's not, obviously. Don't get bogged down on some of the details. But look at there was a letter written to the editor, I guess, AZ Central, which it was from a professor at ASU that really ripped IDS. One of the deans or something came back and ripped the professor on that for reasons that will be very clear. And then there was some another letter that got in there too. So these are really important things to see what's going on with this IDS and how do we talk about it? What does it look like? And who can use it? All right. So you want to get into that discussion. And again, I am rewarding a little deeper thinking. You stay up on the shallow side of the pool, you get the shallow end of the grade. Okay, that's the only way it is to it. I don't expect masterpieces in grad school work, but I expect more than just really shallow, plaudits and moving on. Okay. All right. So the intellectual autobiography. This is the capstone of this module, right? You're going to get to write about yourself again. Okay. Hard to get that wrong. I can't say, no, you were not born in Lansing, Michigan. I know that. There's a rubric. You're going to look at the rubric and you're going to write an essay, a paper. This is not a question and answer one. Again, I can go back to what I said. It's not a worksheet. It's intellectual autobiography. So you're writing this autobiography. How long should it be, Professor? I don't know. How long's your life? I don't know. But let's just talk about this thing. It's an intellectual autobiography. It's not an autobiography about, and when we went on a trip to South Dakota. Okay. Yes, if that trip to South Dakota informed you intellectually, what were your, intellectual milestones, and talk about that. Talk about those that influenced you. Talk about, you'll see it. Read the book, read the appendix, and you'll see what we mean by that. And get those items in there, in the rubric in your paper. And I'll give you a tip and a hint, and this is worth all the money because I can't tell you how many times look at the first thing on the rubric, I think, and it says date of birth and where you were born, right? You don't know how many times people send me that paper and they don't tell me the date of birth and when they were born. I really don't care that much, trust me. But if you don't want to say it, you can put in, look, my family's been on the run from the IRS since 1987, so I'm not going to give you my name and not give you my date of birth and location. Okay, so it's just about how does anyone do an autobiography if you don't know who they are, right? And if you don't start at the beginning. So consider that. And if you feel comfortable with that, I understand. But let's talk about that beforehand or just forfeit those points. Okay, so let's talk about just something generally before I wrap up. I've been talking with a colleague. He teaches this course too, and he hates teaching it. Taught it over the summer. He got just butchered in his evaluations, and he's a phenomenal professor. I had him for this class, and he's younger than me, by the way. And he was really bummed out, kind of, and hurt by evaluations. He's not a video guy. He's not so he doesn't do the videos, which apparently irritates some students because it seems to be, the way to do it nowadays. He also, wow, have I been doing this whole video in like the dark? I don't know. Who cares? Who cares? No. Might do a podcast. This is a podcast that you can't see. Um, but I learned from that. We talked about some of the things and maybe misconceptions both ways. And I told him how I felt the importance of videos to engage with you guys, to know that I'm here. And it is September, how was it, 2nd, September 2nd. and I'm in Sedona, and it's going to get hot. I'm tired. I've been traveling around a lot. But talks about some students that he has that are like, well, this is not doing me any good. Why do I got to do an intellectual autobiography? Why am I writing these papers? What is this doing for me? I can't get a job with this. Well, our agreed upon response to that, if we were to be snarky, we would say, well, go to a tech school. You're not in a tech school. Okay. This is a tech school. It's teaching you networking, which is fabulous, by the way. I've been in tech. It's not a tech school that teaches you, whether it's massage, hair design, all kinds of things that are fabulous careers. My niece is a barber and she absolutely loves it. And she's got a master's degree in media and communication. So she loves it. So I'm not disparaging anything, but I'm saying that what are you getting out of this? Is this like, I'm going to go through this, and I'm getting a job in this? You're going to have a rude awakening because it's not a tech school. It's a university where we teach people to think, teach people resources. Now, you'll notice one of the arguments that uh, Newell had, or not Newell, Benson had, was that it was too shallow. You don't get enough information about disciplines to be a good interdisciplinarian. But let's face it, let's talk about something that was probably written 20 years ago, maybe. And that was before, before you could do everything on here, find out at everything, right? Playing cards last night with a friend. Hey, remember that song? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Siri, hey, play blah, blah, blah. She does it, it's on my phone. They don't understand that you can get your answers anywhere. You don't have to go to a library like we did, go to the Dewey Decimal System, look at a bunch of books, write down catalog numbers, go looking for them, pull them out, dig them up, read them, memorize them because you don't want to lose the information. So, do you have to be an expert in every discipline? I don't think so because you can find it here. What you do need to be an expert at, though, is the mining information. You data miners know about this, right? You need to know how to get at it. And as you're a generation that's grown up with this availability, you are very adept at knowing how to get information. I'm trying to take you to the scholarly academic side of that because I think as interdisciplinarians, if you know the issue, the problem, the analysis you want to do, and that you can look and decide which disciplines are appropriate, you can go and look for the information. You can go deep. Okay, I'm not saying I could perform brain surgery after reading on the internet, but I'll bet you I could tell you all the steps of it. I mean, for good Lord, we've got, people out there making bombs because of stuff posted, which is sad and sick. But I'm saying that, what the university does here gives you this sometimes broad and there's specificity in how to learn, how to grow. There was a quote from the paper you're going to read, and it says, he said, this is Benson, the primary responsibility of the university, given the premium on time and study opportunities, is to equip the student with adequate foundations for future growth and development. Okay? If anybody out there thinks learning is not a lifetime endeavor, you're sorely mistaken. Okay? All right. So the primary responsibility of the university, given the premium on time and study opportunities, is to equip the student with adequate foundations for future growth and development. Okay? Notice that. Foundations for future growth and development to continue on. Okay? To get that, when we were all toddlers and started learning the language of mama, dada, and that stuff, we weren't, you know, writing essays and things, but it was the foundation for what came later, right? So, just food for thought on that. Okay, it's a tough thing. So, like they said, what that movie is, better get your mind right. All right, let's do it. Easter egg number 3, because I'm going on a half an hour, and wow. All right, Easter egg number 3. IDS is not multi anything. Okay, I'm being really clear on these. And again, I hate being absolutist because there's always gray areas, but I really want you to get that foundational points in that I made these last 3 weeks on these videos. Okay, I think it's going to help you articulate it, and you can be, get out there and be cocky about it. And I know what interdisciplinary studies is, and I know what and you're good at it. You're not going back again to multi this, multi that, and looking at multiple angles and and juggling all kinds of things. Okay, so I want to beat the 30 clock. Forks up. Enjoy. I'll send an email about anything else going on. Have a good one. Bye.